Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I heard some really positive feedback at the Brownies. That makes Mrs. Chen and I very happy. So we are going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of you guys tomorrow and some of you guys today when we do our meets call. Don't forget we're having a scavenger hunt today, which I will remind your parents in a little bit. So have a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what we have you guys look for. So, anyways, we are in chapter 24 today. Chapter 23 was a little bit of background history about Green Lake, the biggest lake in Texas, and Miss Catherine Barlow's story. Because remember, he was thinking about the KD and what it was that they were searching for. So we're starting to get clues about what it is they're digging for, and how the warden ties in will be interesting. So we're going to read chapter 24 and 25, and we'll go ahead and start it. Stanley was half asleep as he got in line for breakfast, but the sight of Mr. Sir awakened him. The left side of Mr. Sir's face had swollen to the size of half a cantaloupe. There were 3 dark purple jagged lines running down his cheek where the warden had scratched him. The other boys in Stanley's tent had obviously seen Mr. Sir as well, but they had the good sense not to say anything. Stanley put a carton of juice in a plastic spoon on his tray. He kept his eyes down and hardly breathed as Mr. Sir ladled some oatmeal-like stuff into his bowl. He brought his tray to the table. Behind him, a boy from one of the other tables' tent said, "Hey, what happened to your face?" There was a crash. Stanley turned to see Mr. Sir holding the boy's head against the oatmeal pot. "Is there something wrong with my face?" The boy tried to speak but couldn't. Mr. Sir had him by the throat. "Does anyone else see anything wrong with my face?" asked Mr. Sir as he continued to choke the boy. Nobody said anything. Mr. Sir let the boy go. His head banged against the table as he fell to the ground. Mr. Sir stood over to him and asked, "How does my face look to you now?" A gurgling sound came out of the boy's mouth, and he managed to gasp the word, "Fine. I'm kind of handsome, don't you think?" Yes, Mr. Sir." Out on the lake, the other boys asked Stanley what he knew about Mr. Sir's face, but he just shrugged and dug his hole. If he didn't talk about it, maybe it would go away. He worked as hard and fast as he could, not trying to pace himself. He just wanted to get off the lake and away from Mr. Sir as soon as possible. Besides, he knew he'd get a break. "Whenever you're ready, just let me know," Zero had said. The first time the water truck came, it was driven by Mr. Pandansky. The second time, Mr. Sir was driving. No one said anything except, "Thank you, Mr. Sir," as he filled each canteen. No one even dared to look at his grotesque face. As Stanley waited, I cannot read today. As Stanley waited, he ran his tongue over the roof of his mouth and inside his cheeks. His mouth was as dry and as parched as a lake. The bright sun reflected off the side mirror of the truck, and Stanley had to shield his eyes with his hand. "Thank you, Mr. Sir," said Magnan as he took his canteen from him. "You thirsty, caveman?" Mr. Sir asked. "Yes, Mr. Sir," Stanley said, holding his canteen to him. Mr. Sir opened the nozzle, and the water flowed out of the tank, but it did not go into Stanley's canteen. Instead, he held the canteen right next to the stream of water. Stanley watched the water splatter on the dirt, where it was quickly absorbed by the thirsty ground. Mr. Sir let the water run for about 30 seconds, then stopped. "You want more?" he asked. Stanley didn't say anything. Mr. Sir turned the water back on, and again Stanley watched it pour onto the dirt. "There, that should be plenty." He handed Stanley his empty canteen. Stanley stared at the dark spot on the ground, which quickly shrank before his eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Sir." Wow, kind of a jerk move on Mr. Sir's part, don't you agree? All right, chapter 25. Now, I think we're going to go into the history of, we're going to go into the history of Green Lake some more, so we're kind of shifting gears a little bit. Chapter 25. There was a doctor in the town of Green Lake 110 years ago. His name was Dr. Hawthorne. And whenever people got sick, they would go see Dr. Hawthorne. But they would also see Sam, the onion man. "Onions! Sweet fresh onions!" Sam would call as he and his donkey, Mary Lou, walked up and down the dirt roads of Green Lake. Mary Lou pulled a cart full of onions. Sam's onion field was somewhere on the dark side of the lake, the other side of the lake. Once or twice a week, he would row across the lake and pick a new batch to fill the cart. Sam had big, strong arms, and it would still take all day for him to row across the lake and another day for him to return. Most of the time, he would leave Mary Lou in his shed, which the walkers let him use at no charge, but sometimes he would take Mary Lou on his boat with him. Some claim that Mary Lou was almost 50 years old, which was, and still is, extraordinarily old for a donkey. "She eats nothing but raw onions," Sam would say, holding up a white onion between his dark fingers. It's nature's magic vegetable. If a person ate nothing but raw onions, he could live to be 200 years old. Sam was not much older than 20, so nobody was quite sure that Mary Lou was really as old as he said she was. How would he know? Still, nobody ever argued with Sam, and whenever they were sick, they would go not only to Dr. Hawthorne, but also to Sam. Sam always gave the same advice: eat plenty of onions. Don't do it, okay? He said that onions were good for the digestion system, the liver, the stomach, the lungs, the heart, and the brain. If you don't believe me, just look at old Mary Lou here. She's never been as sick a day in her life. He also had many different ointments, lotions, syrups, and pastes, all made out of onion juice in different parts of the onion plant. This one cured asthma. This one was for warts and pimples. Another was a remedy for arthritis. He even had a special ointment which he claimed would cure baldness. Just rub it on your husband's head every night when he's sleeping, Mrs. Collingwood, and soon his hair will be as thick and long as Mary Lou's tail. Doc Hawthorne did not resent Sam. The folks of Green Lake were afraid to take chances. They would get regular medicine from Doc Hawthorne and onion concoctions from Sam. And after they got over their illness, no one could be sure, not even Doc Hawthorne, which of the two treatments had done the trick. Doc Hawthorne was almost completely bald, and in the morning his head often smelled like onions. Whenever Catherine Barlow brought onions, she always bought an extra one or two and would let Mary Lou eat them out of her hand. Is something wrong? Sam asked her one day as she was feeding Mary Lou. You seem distracted. Oh, just the weather, said Miss Catherine. Looks like rain clouds moving in. Me and Mary Lou, we like the rain, said Sam. Oh, I like it just fine too, said Miss Catherine as she rubbed the donkey's rough hair on top of his head. It's just that the roof leaks in the schoolhouse. Well, I can fix that, said Sam. What are you going to do? Catherine joked. Fill the holes with onion paste? Sam laughed. I'm good with my hands, he told her. I built my own boat. If it leaked, I'd be in big trouble. Catherine couldn't help but notice his strong, firm hands. They made a deal. He agreed to fix the leaky roof in exchange for 6 jars of spiced peaches. It took Sam a week to fix the roof because he could only work in the afternoons after school let out and before night classes began. Sam wasn't allowed to attend classes because he was a Negro, but they let him fix the building. Miss Catherine usually stayed in the schoolhouse grading papers and such while Sam worked on the roof. She enjoyed what little conversation they were able to have, shouting up and down to each other. She was surprised by his interest in poetry. When he would take a break, she would sometimes read a poem to him. On more than one occasion, she would start to read a poem by Poe or Longfellow, only to hear him finish it from memory. Mm-hmm. She was sad when the roof was finished. Is something wrong? He asked. No, you did a wonderful job, she said. It's just that the windows won't open. The children and I would enjoy a breeze now and then. I can fix that, said Sam. She gave him 2 more jars of peaches, and Sam fixed the windows. It was easier to talk to him when he was working on the windows. He told her about a secret onion field on the other side of the lake, where the onions grow all year round and the water runs uphill. When the windows were fixed, she complained that her desk wobbled. See what's going on here? I can fix that, said Sam. The next time she saw him, she mentioned that the door doesn't hang straight, and she got to spend another afternoon with him while he fixed the door. By the end of the first semester, Onion Sam had turned the old rundown schoolhouse into a well-crafted, freshly painted jewel of a building that the whole town was proud of. People passing by would stop and admire it. That's our schoolhouse. It shows how much we value education here in Green Lake. That's a good schoolhouse. The only person who wasn't happy with it was Miss Catherine. She'd run out of things needed to be fixed. She sat at her desk one afternoon listening to the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof. No water leaked into the classroom except for the few drops that came from her eyes. Onions! Hot, sweet onions! Sam called out on the street. She ran to him. She wanted to throw her arms around him, but couldn't bring herself to do it. Instead, she hugged Mary Lou's neck. Is something wrong? He asked her. Oh, Sam, she said. My heart is breaking. I can fix that, said Sam, and she turned to him. He took hold of both of her hands and kissed her. Because of the rain, there was nobody else out on the street. Even if there was, Catherine and Sam wouldn't have noticed. They were lost in their own world. At that moment, however, Hattie Parker stepped out of the general store. They didn't see her, but she saw them. She pointed her quivering finger in their direction and whispered, God will punish you. So, anyways, that was pretty interesting. The story is starting to really come together, so I'm curious to see how the warden ties into this and how the kids and what they're supposed to find. So, anyways, the question of the day for you is I have a shirt on, and it's representative of the Spartan race, which is something that Mr. Chan and I did, and Jacob Stark did. So I want you to kind of look up Spartan race, and I want you to tell me there's different races that they have, and I want you to describe two of them at least. You can start out with the sprint, the ultra, the beast, whatever it is, the hurricane heat. Those are all different types of races. So tell me about those and think about what it would take to fully prepare and how you would think if you had to do a race. So anyways, love you guys. Looking forward to seeing the rest of you guys today for our meats scavenger hunt, and also tomorrow when we pass out the rest of the brownies. Yes?
1:00.
1 o'clock today at the Google Meets. You guys should have the link. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.